If you don't call that a miracle, I don't know what is.
So welcome back to another episode 19 of the Positive Guys podcast with myself, Fortunato,
Luca, and our special guest today, our very, very special guest, Kevin Hines himself.
Hi, guys. What's going on?
Kevin, thank you once again for tuning in to our podcast. As you guys know, we don't have a lot of guests on, but we wanted to choose a very, very special guest and someone that we look up to very much in this field. And we chose, I think, one of the best guests we could find, and one of the best guests we look up to the most again.
Yeah.
Mr. Hines. I'm going to ask you a few questions, Kevin. I want to make the viewers get to know you, get to meet you. The first thing I want to ask you is your story, who you are, and to kind of introduce yourself to our viewers, if that's okay.
Absolutely. So my name's Kevin Hines. I'm a mental health advocate, author, and filmmaker. And I developed bipolar disorder at the age of 17 and a half. It led me to attempt to take my life at 19 years of age. I attempted to die by suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge. The history behind the deaths at the Golden Gate Bridge are that it's 99% fatal. So 99% of the people that have attempted off that bridge will never, ever get to share their stories. I'm so lucky that I get to share mine. After my attempt, I did jump off the bridge. I did survive that fall. And it was in the millisecond of free fall, when my hands left the rail, that I thought to myself, this was an instantaneous regret and the worst mistake I'd ever made. And I thought it was too late. I thought that I'm going to fall, I'm going to hit, and I'm going to die. I had never heard of anybody surviving that fall. I would become one of 39 individuals in 83 years to survive that fall. I was number 26 of 39 to survive. And only about 5 of us survivors get the privilege to stand, walk, and run. We have full physical mobility. And thus they call us the most exclusive survivors club in the world. There's even a book about it. It's called The Survivors Club. And I lived, and it was because of a few things. A woman driving by in a red car who saw me go over the rail at the moment of my attempt called her friend, who happened to be in the United States Coast Guard. And the reason the Coast Guard got to my position in the water before I would set in hypothermia and drown was because of that woman making that phone call at the timely manner in which she did. In the water, as I failed to stay afloat before the Coast Guard boat arrived, I kept going down. I could not stay above water. I would go down, swallow the salt water, come out, spit salt water up. And then something began to circle beneath me. And I immediately thought it was a shark, and I was freaking out. I'm punching this thing, it won't go away. I can't feel my legs. I've shattered my T12, L1, L2 lower vertebrae. I missed that day, severing my spinal cord by 2 millimeters.
Oh, God.
And I'm just praying to God that I survive this while this creature's beneath me, but it won't leave. And I would later learn on a television program on ABC News called Primetime Live with a man named John Quinones, who does that show, What Would You Do? I learned on that show, I was on the show, and I said on the show I thought there was a shark beneath me in the water. Well, people wrote into the show from all over the world, and one man's letter that stuck out of all the rest, his name was Morgan McWard, and he wrote, "Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet away from you and you jumped. Until this day, no one would tell me whether you lived or died. It's haunted me until now." By the way, there was no shark like you thought there was on the show, but there was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. If you don't call that a miracle, I don't know what is. But nonetheless, the sea lion kept me afloat till the Coast Guard boat arrived. The officers from the Coast Guard boat pulled me onto a flatboard, put me in a neck brace, and strapped me in from head to toe. And I'll never forget, the senior officer looked at me and said, "Son, do you understand how many people we pull out of these waters that are already gone?" And I remember saying something to the effect of, "No, and I don't want to know." He said, "I'm going to tell you anyway." He said, "This unit alone has pulled out 57 dead bodies from these waters. And one live one. Me." And it really put things into perspective in that moment in time. I got from the Coast Guard to the ambulance to the hospital. One of the foremost back surgeons on the West Coast was leaving for the day. He did me a solid and opted to stay and performed a back surgery on me that had never been performed before. It was the first and only particular kind. He saved me the ability to walk, stand, and run with his team, and I got the privilege to survive this ordeal and be a relatively normal guy. Yes, I have all the symptoms of bipolar disorder even today, although they're under really good control right now. And I manage them very well with a 10-step routine to wellness called The Art of Wellness, which I share with the world. If you go to youtube.com/Kevin Hines and you go to the playlist The Art of Wellness, it's a 10-step guide of common sense tools that are scientifically proven to better your brain health. And that 10 steps plan is in video format on YouTube, so you can augment your destiny. I mean, for the people listening that are in mental pain, I have people write to me on this plan from Peru, Africa, China, and Japan, and America, and all over the world that say that this plan and following it for 6 to 9 months has significantly improved their mental, brain, mind, and behavioral health. And so I want to share that with the world. I want to help people find hope. And so after I did what I did, after I survived, it was not an easy road. I would be in 9 psych ward stays in the next 12, 13 years. Pardon me.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all.
That's 9 psych ward stays the next 13 years. And, there'd be times when I was suicidal again over and over. And, it's been by no means easy at all. But I have survived the pain every time to stay here. I have a lovely wife. I have family and friends that care for me and love me, and a great support team that I built over decades. But, it took a long time to get my mind back. And the better part of a decade after my attempt was spent in a whirlwind of pain. I've found hope. I found light at the end of the tunnel. And my motto is, if you don't see hope, if you don't see that light at the end of the tunnel, it just means you haven't walked far enough to reach it. Just keep on keeping on. Keep on fighting. And I always say to people, I actually got this from an Anna Akana video, and it really rang true to me in my life story. She said in one of her videos, we're all going to die. We're all going to pass away. But if you're suicidal, just give yourself time for things to change. And I add to that, give yourself time plus hard work equals hope and resilience to change.
Exactly.
So I think that if we can recognize that our thoughts don't have to become our actions, that no matter how often we become suicidal, we can always defeat those thoughts. I live with regular thoughts of suicide, but they'll never kill me, because every time I hear them, every time I think of them, I go to my wife, I go to my family, I go to my doctors, or I go to someone who's willing to empathize and care, and I beg for help. And you would be surprised. I have been in airports with none of my family or support network around me, and nobody that I could get hold of on the phone. And I have asked TSA agents for help, and they help me. If you ask for help, it may not be the first person you talk to, the second person, or the third, but eventually you're going to find someone willing to empathize with your pain and be with you in that moment of struggle.
Kevin, you know what? Honestly, like from your story of what I hear, I heard different versions of your story, but to hear it from you, it kind of breaks me up, because your story is very, very spectacular in a way of how you overcame it and how you overcame what you overcame. And I come from a similar story of losing my mom at a young age, and going through. I lost my mom at 12, and I'm 23 now, and losing her at such a young age really took a drastic toll on me. And having suicidal thoughts the whole time, and still to today, I found love with my girlfriend and everything, but to hear how you overcame things and how you got to that point, it's really motivating to see that, because I wish I would have had that type of system back in the day. Understand? So I mean, for any viewers that are watching this from Kevin's point of view, seeing this of how your whole life is planned around helping people during these crazy times, like especially when they're coming to try to take their life away, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and it's like you should, like, for some people that lose hope, like there's no reason to lose hope, because like where you were, like where you thought there was no hope, you found hope, and till this day you're still working like in like crazy amounts of support that you get today. Like there's hope. You, like you said, you have to ask people, and it's just like the way you said it and everything is just like amazing, and it's touching, because it's like so many people go through this and they think they're alone, and before Like I have multiple.
I think that
You could go ahead. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you cut off there. I thought you were finished. Go ahead, please. There we go. I hear you now. We're back.
Okay. So yeah, he was. Yeah, Luca, you keep saying what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I have friends that one got into a very major accident, and once he got into a major accident, he passed away. So the best friend took his life away almost, I think it was 2 years later after that, because I think he was like the silence was killing him. Like he wasn't communicating, he wasn't asking for help, and he was in that position like almost like stuck basically.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome that he has that support system. I mean, you don't really hear it from a lot of people's point of view of having someone that you can actually turn to. And what Kevin said, which is very touching, is that no matter who you turn to, understand, at least you're putting yourself out there. You're talking to someone, because a lot of the time people are scared to talk to someone because they don't want to really say how they really feel until they take their life away.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can't just speak on our pain. But if you can't speak on it, write it down. If you're too afraid of what someone will think who's supposed to be supporting you, and you can't get the words out that make sense, that you can formulate to describe what you are going through. Because I have people tell me all the time that I vocalize exactly how they feel, but they don't know how to say it. Yeah. So write it down. Write a letter for your mom and your dad, or your guardian, or your loved one, that is so specific to what you're going through, that's so clear and crystal clear what you're dealing with, if you're dealing with depression, and share that with them. And before you share that with them, say, listen, I'm writing you this letter because I can't say these things in words. I can't get the words out, but I need you to take this letter seriously, because I'm going through hell and I'm really hurting and I need your help. And it's even hard for me to ask for that help. Please read the letter, and then let's talk about what's inside of it so we can get past it. That's just one example of something you can do. I think that if you have lost hope, hope is something that can be regenerated. Hope is something that can be created. Hope is something that you can find through that hustle and hard work to change your mind and change your life. And I know that every time I become suicidal, I have to fight to find that hope and that light at the end of the tunnel. But I always find it because I bring myself back to logic. And that's to say that I bring myself back to logic in the sense that when I think that I'm a burden to people who love me, how many times have I asked people who love me if I'm a burden? How many times have they said yes? 0. How many times have they said that I'm not a burden? Thousands. If I have a hallucinatory episode, which I have them, and I see something or someone that's in a distorted reality, I say to myself, because my hallucinations come in the form of entities or things trying to kill me. So I say, how many times has this happened and have I been killed or attempted to be killed? 0. So the likelihood of this happening again in this situation is 0. I often get afraid, a paranoid delusion and a hallucination that people are out to get me or trying to kill me, or the audience that I'm speaking to is trying to kill me. And I say to myself, how many times has it happened? None, that it's not going to happen. And I walk myself back through that internal struggle so I can continue doing the good work that I'm trying to do. I've been blessed to now have spoken to over 3 million people around the world, and physically in person for the last 20 years. And I've been lucky enough to through multimedia platforms and digital video to have reached nearly 1 billion. And that's through all the videos that you can comprise online of me. And that is a testament to the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
Storytelling saves lives. I'm not claiming that I saved lives. Make no mistake about it. But I am saying that we did a qualified and quantified analysis of telling my story and the effect it's had on the people I've spoken to all over the world. And that study determined that I have the only lived experience story that's proven to save lives. Only because it's the only one that's been studied like this.
Yeah.
There more people are now doing this, and I would say that I don't save lives. I would say that I give people the tools for them to go home and do the hard work, for them to then save and change their own lives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People all over the world have claimed that I saved their life. I don't claim that. I think that they went home and did the work after hearing my story, and they changed and saved their own life. They just don't see it that way. They see my catalyst as like leading them in that path. But what I recognize is that they heard a message that gave them the strength and the resilience to change their own life. And when you look at that, it's kind of fascinating because there's an art and science to storytelling. And these sticky memories that stay in the neuroplasticity of the brain, and sticky memories from storytelling. Because every time some people, after they hear a story like mine, or there's plenty of storytellers around the world doing great work, after they hear a story like mine or others of triumph over immeasurable adversity, that story sticks in their brain forever in a memory, in a pocket memory, and they call upon that story when they're in pain themselves or when they're suicidal. And so it's fascinating to see how the art and science of storytelling is changing the world.
Yeah, and I love how you said like it's hard work, and it's like I think people are like just expecting to wake up and feel a certain way, and when they don't, that's when they lose hope. Like when you wake up to feel motivated, even just to get up, to feel motivated every day is something that you have to work on yourself, and it's something like not everyone has, because not everyone takes the time into that process to want to better their lives. And like if you're waking up every morning and writing a mantra down, let's say it could be like I will succeed, I will be happy, something like that, and continuously doing and putting the effort into that, then it's going to become a reality. But it takes like you said, it takes work, like to be able to control how you feel and your emotions. And like it's just like the fact that you're saying it is like incredible, because it's like even when I wake up in the morning, people think like, because I have another account on Instagram where I write my quotes, but these quotes are like not necessarily like quotes that you would see. They're like almost like quotes of how I'm feeling that day, but I express it in a way that I can motivate other people.
That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
I love to hear the work other people are doing. And I love the title of your podcast, The Positive Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, I wanted to tell you, because when what Luca's saying too about his Instagram, where he puts down like motivational stuff, and which is crazy. It's he's putting out motivational things for people to get motivated. And what I also do is I own my own nonprofit organization called the Mothers Love Foundation, and we have we help homeless individuals, homeless shelters, and families in need with basic necessities like clothes, funding, and everything like that. And to hear your story and to see how far you've come from it, it motivates myself, because I came from something that I had nothing. I was only myself. And from having employees under me and being able to help so many people, it shows me that with your story, I can go so much more further. So it's crazy to hear like how far you come. So it's really motivating, man.
I can tell you a little bit about my traumatic infancy and how my birth parents, as I'm adopted, they really struggled with mental illness and drugs and alcohol. And I was taken from them. Me and my brother were taken from them. My brother died, and it was rough, humble beginnings to get to now, where before COVID-19 hit, I was traveling 300 days a year,
wow,
sharing my story of hope with my wife, my lovely wife, who's got my back. And for everybody out there who is lacking in self-belief, you have to change the way you view yourself, and you have to change the way you view the world. I hear a lot of people that say, woe is me. Why do I have this mental illness? Why am I struggling this way? And I did that. I did the same thing when I first was diagnosed. I was like, how could this happen to me? I was a football player, a wrestling champion. I was in the theater department. Why is this happening to me? Why do I deserve this? And it wasn't until after my attempt off the bridge and my survival and really that sea lion saving my life that my perspective changed. And I began to recognize that this life is the greatest gift we have ever been given,
100%,
or will ever be given, no matter the pain we're in. If you can find gratitude in the pain and resilience throughout it, you can always survive that pain. And I think people tend to self-sabotage when they're in that much pain. And listen, I recognize that pain comes in all forms, from abuse, neglect, um, hardship, financial hardship, and that none of those are easy. And I recognize that there are a lot of people in this world that go through traumas every single day, repeatedly, because of their abusers or things like that. And I want you to look deep inside yourself and keep on fighting to get free from that situation you're in that is so devastating and get to a better place. You can survive it. I promise you. I know you can. You can be here tomorrow and every day after that, no matter the pain you're in. And if you can hold gratitude inside the pain, you can survive it and you can eventually defeat it. Do not let your pain defeat you. Let it build you brick by brick from the ground up. And that's really been my journey, is that whenever I'm faced with a struggle that is so immense and so immeasurable, I go back to that. I'm going to defeat this pain, and nothing is going to get in my way.
Kevin, what I wanted to tell you is that because from your story, what you're saying right now, we have a lot of people that message us every single day, myself and Luca on the Positive Guys page, and they message us about how they're feeling in the moment and the levels that they're feeling towards the worst, which is suicide, taking your life. And every single time someone messages us with with their story, it always seems like everyone has a different story, and it sucks because sometimes you're not able to relate to the person that you're talking to at hand. But I feel like with your type of story, it's like you've been through a lot, and you've been through almost. I don't want. It's obviously not good to always say all, but you've been through a lot of stuff, and you went from 0 to 100, and you went to one of the worst states you could be. And for anybody watching this, that's listening to Kevin right now and his awesome words, take them into consideration, because his journey has been through the worst to the best. And I just want people to understand that, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I think that for your viewers right now who are going to be watching and listening, I want to tell you something. There are resources out there that you can get to that can get you to safety. If you're in America right now, you can text CNQR to 741-741, the crisis text line. And crisis comes in many forms. But whatever you're going through, if you are able to get to a phone, you can text CNQR to 741-741. That's our conquer keyword. It stands for conquer your pain. Courage to talk about your mental health, normalize the conversation, ask the questions. Are you thinking about killing yourself? And have you made a plan to take your life? And recovery, because I'm living proof. R is for recovery. You can survive what you're going through, and you can keep surviving to find that light at the end of the tunnel. And if you don't have self-belief, one of the best things you can do is go in front of the mirror and repeat positive affirmations. What this does is retrain the negative inner critical voice. All of us, no matter who we are or how old we are, we all have a negative inner critical voice. It comes and stems from every negative, hurtful, spiteful thing that's ever been said or done to us. And we internalize that, and it comes out against ourselves. So go to the mirror, and if you're that type of person that says you're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb, I hate you, to yourself, which so many people do, so many teens do, certainly. If you're one of those people, look in the mirror today and say your name, like Kevin, I love you. Kevin, you're the best. Kevin, you're the greatest. Kevin, you can do this. Kevin, I believe in you. It sounds ridiculous to look in a mirror and talk to yourself like that, but you need to do it if you have such negative inner critical voices that are detrimental to your brain health. If you do this, you are going to retrain your brain over time, because 21 days of saying something like this becomes a habit, and in 365 days, it becomes truth. So you basically have rewritten your inner self narrative. If you can rewrite your narrative, you can absolutely defeat the pain that comes your way.
That's incredible. Even the way you say it, like, it's so true, because it's almost, it becomes like it's work. So nothing comes to you just like that. Not even your thoughts, not even the way you think. Like, some people think that it's unreal to get certain things. Like, some things are like, I had that dream too. But it, like, with anything, like, that dream could turn into reality. You being at the state you are in right now in your mind and you wanting to be healthy, just you, I think like just the beginning of you believing in yourself and like knowing where you're gonna want to go and where you want to be mentally in the mental state, I think I think that's like the first step, and I think that's very important. Like you said, it's like very it's critical of people to like
Very,
just
very motivational to hear.
yeah.
You know, like just to hear how far you come, and from someone that is suffering from the beginning, and to see how far you come it's a big motivation for all of us.
Well, put it this way: a year and a half ago, I was in a psych ward again for the 9th time, and I could have easily gone through with the thoughts that were in my head, but here I am again, doing very well mentally, back on track with a great deal of hard work, and that is the common denominator.
Yeah.
Is none of this is going to get better without hard work and hustle. And you know, for those of you, and we have to be fair because there's a lot of people around the world that are being neglected and abused in different ways, and they feel like there's no way out because they live with their abusers, and it's really tragic that goes on every day. But I just beg those of you going through that kind of hardship to keep on fighting. I know it's not easy. I know it's the furthest thing from easy. It's so difficult, so hard. But just tell yourself every day that you are beautiful, that you are worthy, and that you do matter until you get out of that horrific situation so you can survive again, so you can thrive someday. You know, just know that we believe in you and we want you to stay here. We want you to fight that pain.
Kevin, we want to say, like, honestly, for everybody watching this, guys, you know, we tried to bring someone on that can really motivate you, especially in the worst times. We have a lot of viewers right now that are going through a lot of hardships and hard times, and especially with this COVID-19, doesn't really help our mental state at all. So I hope Kevin really helped you during this time and really motivated you during this time, and kind of showed you his lesson on everything that he was going through. But one thing I want to touch on, Kevin, is that package that you were saying before. If you can expand on what you have, that package that you have on YouTube, how to help someone during that time, during the hardest time.
Absolutely. So if you go to, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kevin Hines, or just go to YouTube and type in Kevin Hines. It's the circle with my face on it. And subscribe to that channel and hit that bell. And here's why. There are 400 plus videos all designed to change your brain health through that power of hard work. There are 400 videos designed to inspire, motivate, and show you the power of the human voice and the human spirit to affect change. And there's a playlist called The Art of Wellness, which is 12 videos, 10 steps to better your brain, mind, behavioral, mental health today through a regimen of hard work and common sense tools to help change life. Please go there, utilize it, write to me. I write back to everyone who writes positive comments. I don't write back to the negative comments. I write back to everyone who writes positive comments, and I engage with you guys, and I want these videos to change your life. It's a newer channel. It's a small channel, but it's a helpful channel. And those 400 videos are waiting for you. And there's a guide to what YouTube videos can help you today. We want them to help you. We want them to guide you to a better place.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. For myself and Luca, we want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for taking the time, for taking the time of your day. I know you're a very busy guy, and I just want to say it means a lot to us because Luca just messaged you to be able to come on our show, and it happened so fast we couldn't even believe it that it happened. But I want to say, like, God bless you for everything you do. For all the lessons you teach, for all the motivation you give everybody, and for the guidelines that you work hard on making people really find themselves in their hardest times. So for myself, I want to say thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you just for coming on. Like, I think so many people are gonna appreciate like your words, like your truthful words and everything that you said, because it comes from a good place, and like I think people are gonna see that, then they're absolutely gonna love it.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you and your energy and your work, and keep being the positive guys you are. Keep this show up and going because it sounds amazing.
Thank you.
And let me know if I can help you find any guests for the future.
Yes.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again to episode 19 with the Positive Guys, myself and Luca, and our special, very, very special guest, someone that we look up to very, very much, Kevin Hines. Go check him out on Instagram. We're going to do all the links in the description of the YouTube, his package and his Instagram. Thank you once again for tuning in, guys. Fortunato out.
Luca out. And
Kevin Hines out.